Welcome back. And in today's video, we're going to have a great conversation about the missing link between working hard and building wealth. By the end of this video, you're going to have a full plan on how to set financial goals and achieve them. This is not a typical set financial goals, go hustle, and then maybe achieve them, maybe not, and burn yourself out. This is a fully laid out process that involves actions, most importantly, your mindset and your emotions. Because one of the biggest misconceptions about building wealth is that effort and hard work is what build wealth. And that's what creates financial progress. But it doesn't. Hard work creates income. Yes, you could work 40, 60, 72 hours a week and create a decent income. But wealth is created when that effort has direction. And if you're just efforting your way to trying to build wealth, then you will be very unsuccessful. Direction comes from goals. And most women don't set financial goals. They have ideas of what they want, but they don't actually set financial goals. So if you've ever felt like you're working so hard, yet your finances are not moving, you're kind of in the same space or the same spots, then there is a really good chance that you're missing this one specific thing. And most women don't have a financial plan. They have wishes. You think to yourself, I want more savings. I want more money in my savings. I want less debt or no debt at all. I want to invest more, or I want to learn how to invest. I want less stress. I want more freedom. But wealth isn't built on wishes. Wealth is built from goals because financial goals give your money direction. So for example, if a woman said, I want to save more money, that's not a financial goal. That's a wish. That's an idea. But if she says, I want to save $10,000 in my high yield savings account by December 30th, then that's very specific. That's a goal. Because now we have something we can build around. And that immediately demonstrates value. That gives it life. And when your financial goal has life, it is 50-50 already chance of being achieved. Now, here's how you give that financial goal life: by writing it down. Even if you're still thinking about it, as specific as you think about it, and you didn't write it down, that's still just an idea because it's still stuck in your brain. And so many of us undermine the value of giving life to an idea. An idea takes life when it's written down. Now it's out in the world. There's something really magical that happens when an idea is written down. It's taken out of your brain and on paper, which is what I always recommend my clients to journal. Because whatever's going on in your mind is just stuck in your mind. The minute you pull it out of your brain and put it on paper, it has a different life. So I want to walk you through a very thorough financial goal setting process. And I hope that I have given you enough argument for you to see the value in setting financial goals, giving your money direction, being determined to build wealth. So breaking the generational curse and then starting generational wealth. You don't do that when you don't set the foundation. The foundation is to know exactly what does wealth mean. How much money is wealth for you? And so following this goal setting framework is going to remove all the complications that come around money. Because one of the reasons women don't set financial goals, besides the fact that they're just having wishes and ideas, is also thinking that it's really hard to achieve financial goals. But you really want a goal to be hard. Otherwise, it doesn't change you. So there's no problem with that. But we make it a problem when we attach all these other thoughts around it. And so we want to make sure the problem is simple. And then the solution also would be simple. And implementing it would be super simple. So right now, our problem is we want to build wealth and we don't have it yet. That's a problem we can solve. And how we solve it is we set financial goals. And we use a framework. The first part of the framework is the SMART system. Most people start with a SMART system and then they stop there. But that's just the first part, because the first part is to establish all the components of the SMART system, right? So S stands for specific. You want your goal to be specific. $10,000 in my savings account by December 30th. Amazing. You want it to be measurable by December 30th. Amazing. Oh, I have 6 months to build this savings account. Fantastic. You want to be able to measure it, to give it a time frame. You want the second part, the M, is measurable. And when you think about being measurable, you want this to be something that you can track. So that's why it needs to be a very specific number, $10,000. And how are we going to track it? Are we just going to one day have $10,000, or are we going to do it incrementally? You want to actually design the journey of these savings. After 3 months, I'm going to have this much, or after 4 weeks, or after 2 weeks. What's the journey of this money making its way into your bank account? You want to be measurable. You want to have a tracking system, because you want to watch the progress. The third part of this SMART system framework is attainable. You want this goal to be attainable. So if you've never made 6 figures, you tell yourself you want to make a 6-figure salary in 1 year, that's attainable. And this is not about being realistic. I really want to make sure that you don't compare this conversation to being realistic. There's no such thing as being realistic. But you want it to be attainable, something you can actually achieve. But it's not about even achieve, because the truth is you're setting this goal to expand you. But attainable is a number that when you say it, it feels doable. Now, you may say you want 6 figures. I may say I want 1 million. I need to be able to say it and know that it's doable, even if I don't know how I'm going to do it, which is exactly what I want, to set a goal that I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that I have the capacity. And you want the same for you. So you say you want 6 figures in 1 year, fantastic. You can say I want 1 million, but you want it to be attainable. You want it to be doable. If you say a number and it feels so out of the realm of your possibility that there's no part of you that rings true for it, then it's not attainable. Because here's how I want you to think about it. If you go to a department store to buy a dress, you'll put on this dress in the fitting room. There is a part of you that's going to be like, ooh, it's a little different than what I usually wear, but I can see it. The minute you have that feeling, that thought, I can see it on me, that's what I'm talking about. When you say the financial goal you want to achieve, it's like putting on this dress and thinking, ooh, I can see it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I can see it. This is important. Most women undermine this and like, oh, I'm just being crazy. No, this is exactly the process. Now, if you put on the dress at the department store and you're like, no way at all, like this is the ugliest thing I've ever tried on, there's no possibility of this happening, respect that as well. Put it aside. But you want to make sure that this is actually something that challenges you. So, of course, you're not going to be like, I want $500. You've probably been able to put away $500 before, so that's not actually attainable. You've attained it before. So I want you to see the difference. The fourth part of this framework is it needs to be relevant. Remember, in the previous video, we talked about determining your values and designing your vision. You have now a vision of the life you want to achieve. How is this goal relevant in that vision? And this is why when we talk about attainable, it needs to be something that feels like, okay, it's a little scary, but I can see some parts of it. I may not see all of it, but I can see it. And then the next part of being relevant is like, okay, I see where it fits into my overall vision of my life. $10,000 in my savings account sounds like it will help me build my home in 2 years or 5 years, or it will help me in my emergency savings account. That's what you want. This is a conversation you're having with yourself. And the last part, which is T, time bound. Determining when am I going to achieve this goal? What's the date I'm giving myself? I need to give myself a very specific date, which we already determined is December 30th. I want $10,000 in my bank account by December 30th, 2026. And I want it incrementally this way. It's a little scary right now, but I could see a little bit of the beginning of maybe, possibly I could do it. Let's just go and do it. And this is when we go to the next step. So remember, what I just described is step number 1. The next step is troubleshooting the obstacles. Now is when you determine what are all the ways that I can do this. Like all of the ways. This sounds so far-fetched. What are all of the ways that I can do it? Because here's what's going to happen. The minute you say you want this goal, you want to set this goal, your brain's going to give you all of the reasons why it's impossible. Hear it out. Here are all the reasons. What are the obstacles that are going to get in the way? You know yourself best. Determine what those obstacles are. What has stopped you before? If you can determine what obstacles are going to come in the future, what has stopped you before in the past from achieving this goal? And the most important part of this step number 2 of troubleshooting is, now how do I use these obstacles to achieve my goal? So what are the obstacles? What are the things that are going to prevent me from achieving? And now let me use every single one of these things as a stepping stone to achieving the goal. So for instance, if I want $10,000 in my savings account, and one of the obstacles is I don't have a job right now. I have to get a job. I'm going to go out there and get a job. Or if one of the obstacles I'm facing right now is when I pay my bills at the end of the month, I have zero money left. Then how am I going to save $10,000? I've got to get more cash flow. I've got to get more cash flow in my system. And that's the plan. That's the step number 2. You've got to be able to troubleshoot the obstacles, which is why you never want to be realistic when you set the goal, because you can set a goal that sounds crazy, but the minute you identify the obstacles, you can now go and use those obstacles as stepping stone to achieve the goal. Step number 3 is establishing constraints and boundaries. So most people set goals, and they even sometimes do the second part where we talked about troubleshooting, which I don't actually think they do, but some people do. But most people don't set constraints and boundaries. And those are just determining what you wouldn't do for the goal and how many excuses you wouldn't give yourself, because there are so many excuses that are going to come along the way. Your brain will come up with a million of them, 17 million to be precise. And you have to determine, here are the boundaries, here are the constraints that I'm going to put myself in between so that I can achieve my goals no matter what. And this is deep commitment. So what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? And what boundaries are going to support this? So for instance, I will not take money out of the savings account for non-emergencies. And now I have to determine what is an emergency. A flat tire is an emergency. A car accident is an emergency. But my friend asked me to go on vacation last minute and I wasn't ready for it. Is it an emergency? I don't know. You decide. So I decide what the emergencies are. I decide the rule is I am not taking money out of the account if it's not an emergency. And if it is an emergency, then that's exactly what I'm creating this account for. So it's being used for its purpose. Yay, fantastic. Because here's another thing that I want you to think about. If you set the goal to achieve $10,000 by the end of the year, in between that, you have an emergency, and by the end of the year, you do not have $10,000 in your account. But when you track, you realize, I did save $10,000. You achieved your goal within the constraint. So I hope that's helpful. The last step is to celebrate. Again, This is a step nobody goes into because we don't even believe that we're going to achieve the goal. So what's the point of planning a celebration? But I want you to take this very seriously because your brain is going to pull all the evidence that you're not capable of achieving this goal. You must have a celebration practice. You need to write it down. How are you going to celebrate when you achieve the goal? And before you achieve the big goal, every milestone that you established in the beginning, how are you going to celebrate along the way? Reminding yourself of how capable you are, pulling out receipts and evidence of what you're doing and who you're becoming. Because remember, who you are in the beginning of setting the goals is not who's going to be at the end of that achieving the goal. You've got to prove to yourself that you're becoming her. And you do that by celebrating. Write it down, describe everything you're going to do, and follow through on those. Do not undermine this step. This is why people don't hold money in their hands because they don't train themselves on how to be happy with the money. And this, my friend, is how you set financial goals. You use this framework, you will be successful. I hope this was useful. I can't wait to talk to you in the next video.